Welcome back to my FireRed badge quest, where I have to find a shiny Pokemon before every single gym battle. Last time, we rescued a shiny Dratini from the game corner to take on Surge, and conquered my childhood fear of the Pokemon Tower to face Erica. As I mentioned before hunting for Ghastly, I used to be pretty scared of Lavender Town. The creepy music instantly put me on edge the first time I arrived here, but I still wanted to explore the tower to see what was inside, which quickly put me face to face with an unbeatable ghost. Finding a creature that even my Charizard was too scared to fight was a genuinely terrifying experience, and after that encounter I made sure to stay as far away from Lavender Town as possible. Putting the Pokemon Tower behind me, I continued my quest as normal. I got my next gym badge from Erica, dealt with some criminals in the game corner, and opened the path into Saffron City. But eventually, I would be hit with a pretty big roadblock. Saffron City was swarming with Team Rocket, and they were blocking the way into the gym, so clearly I had to come back to this later. But as I tried to take the cycling road to Fuchsia to reach the next gym, I ran into a huge Pokemon obstructing the way. Well, that's annoying. But according to the map, you can also get to Fuchsia by taking Route 12, so while it looks a bit longer, I'm sure there isn't another giant Pokemon conveniently blocking the entire path. Damn. I remember being stuck here for weeks. I tried everything that I could think of to get this Snorlax out of the way, but nothing seemed to work. I went and bought some Awakenings at the Pokemart, but there wasn't any way to use them on a wild Pokemon. The help menu wasn't giving much advice either, as it just told me to talk to more NPCs, but none of them had any answers for me. Even the Teachy TV had forsaken me, as the episode on how to wake up a Snorlax was tragically absent. I even tried buying Great Balls, standing in front of Snorlax and tossing them from my bag in hopes of catching it and clearing the way, but to no avail. After weeks of searching every inch of the region that I could find, I eventually decided to return to the one place I hadn't fully explored. It was time to brave the Pokemon Tower. My Charizard had grown even stronger since beating Erica and Giovanni, and I had a whole new gym badge under my belt, so maybe now I would be tough enough to fight the ghost. And as the unbeatable Spectre appeared once again, this time my character pulled out the Silph Scope and it transformed into a Marowak. All this time I'd been scared of returning to the Pokemon Tower, and the solution had been a random pair of goggles I picked up at the Rocket hideout. In my defense, I had no idea the Silph Scope let you fight ghosts. The item description only says that it made unseeable Pokemon visible, but the ghost wasn't invisible. I could see it on my screen, I just wasn't able to attack it. I realise now there are multiple NPCs that tell you this information, so I'm not going to act like this is bad game design. I was just a dumb kid that either missed these hints or forgot about them entirely. And after making my way up to the top and finally rescuing Mr. Fuji from Team Rocket, he rewarded me with a Pokeflute, and the description for this item left no doubts on what I had to do next. I sprinted south out of Lavender Town and finally opened up the path to the rest of the game. And seeing how long this Snorlax kept me from progressing as a kid, it feels fitting to let it block my progress for another week or two while I hunt for a shiny one. Oh, what? No way! 138 encounters? Are you kidding me? What? What? This is insane. What? Okay. Okay. Now, okay, this is going to be a tough one to catch, because Snorlax is a pretty rough catch rate. And it's also just going to keep healing itself in rest, so I don't have much options in terms of, like, actually whittling it down much. How many balls do I have on this one? Okay, I bought a bunch of Pokeballs on my FireRed file. I think I forgot to do that on this one. Oh dear. I do want to try and get it in a normal Pokeball, because that's what all the other ones are in so far. I wouldn't mind a Great Ball, because it's also blue, but this might be a bit tricky. I'm not sure if my chances of getting it in a Pokeball are pretty good here, but I think with the Great Balls I should be able to. Please say in. I wish I'd been able to catch my Ghastly with Hypnosis. That would have made this a bit easier. I think I'm going to start chucking Great Balls here, because there is a distinct possibility I could run out of Pokeballs on this if I'm not careful. Come on. Oh, we got it. Okay, sure about the Pokeball thing, but that's on me for not being prepared enough. I'm totally happy getting this in 138 encounters in a Great Ball. Oh, that's definitely going to be the fastest hunt of this whole quest. Okay. Now, I didn't actually think about this until today when I was setting this hunt up, but when I was looking at the little mystery dungeon sprite that I've been using for my layout, it kind of made me realise that Snorlax looks a bit like a Raposa from Drawn to Life. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you might have picked up that I sometimes use Drawn to Life music in the background. So I think I've got to go with that. It also kind of fits with the whole sleeping thing that Snorlax has, because the Raposa exist in like a sort of dreamscape thing. It's a very weird game and a crazy like reveal that happens in the second game. Let's go check this immediately. Okay. I'm gonna guess Hasty, just because that was so absurdly fast for a shiny hunt. What do we got? Naughty. Okay. Attack up, special defense down. Okay. I mean, Snorlax like special defense is already pretty decent, so that's not too bad. I'm just kind of speechless here. I was fully anticipating this to, you know, take a bit longer than this. I already know what I'm doing for my next target, and I'm not going to spoil it because you're gonna see it in like 2 seconds. But I'll just say that I was kind of expecting that I wouldn't get to the 6th badge this fast, because I'm gonna have to wait like a few weeks before I can do this hunt. But alright, I guess I'm gonna have to find something else to do for like the next few weeks. This is... I was not expecting it to happen this fast. While the path to Fuchsia is now open, clearing the Pokemon Tower also enables you to enter Silph and finally kick Team Rocket out of Saffron, which also allows us to fight Sabrina for my 5th badge. As I mentioned in the last episode, Ghost-type moves use the physical attack stat in Generation 3, so while that's not ideal for Gengar, it does make Shadow Ball a very strong option for Snorlax, and we can actually teach it that move using a TM from the... You already know where I'm going with this. Cue the music. I don't think I've ever used Snorlax on a team before. It's a Pokemon that's obviously very prominent within the series, but having a low speed stat in a playthrough is normally a recipe for being slowly chipped down by constant wild Pokemon and trainer battles. Not to mention that normal type isn't super effective against anything, so while they usually can learn a wide variety of move types, you're missing out on super effective stab damage. I will say I've become a lot more fond of Snorlax over the last few years though, both due to its prominence in Pokemon Sleep and more recently through Mosslax and Phacopia, so it feels right to have finally shiny hunted the original roadblock that I spent so much time trying to overcome. And with that in mind, it's also very funny to me that this entire shiny hunt took less than an hour. With Snorlax gone and Sabrina defeated, that leaves only one option for our 6th badge, the poison-type Koga of Fuchsia City. Just as a side note, does anyone else think the names for Sabrina and Koga's badges should be swapped around? It always felt weird to me that the MarshBadge belongs to the Psychic Gym leader and not the Poison one. Whatever it's called, we'll still need his badge if we want to use Surf to reach Cinnabar Island. And of course, if we want to face Koga, we'll also need a new shiny. As I'm sure you can tell, I really wasn't expecting to find Snorlax this quickly, and it kind of threw off my plans for this next hunt. When I started planning this badge quest, I knew I wanted one of my hunts to take place during the annual Safari Week event, and since the Safari Zone is in Fuchsia City, it seemed like an obvious choice to hunt here before fighting Koga. I officially began this hunt in the last week of May, and I already knew that Safari Week was going to be the middle of July, so that gave me a deadline of around 7 weeks to find 5 shinies. But thanks to Charmander, Dratini, and especially Snorlax showing up so fast, I had already caught all of my targets in under a month. And as it's a bit too early to start Safari Week, I'm going to go fishing instead. Waking up Snorlax opens up routes 12 through 18, although most of the Pokemon here are ones that we've seen already. The only new species we can find in the grass here are Venonats and the very rare Ditto, but removing Snorlax also gives us access to the Good Rod and the Super Rods, which open up encounters for many different water types in previous areas. This was going to be my hunt for my 7th badge, since I thought it would be fitting to hunt for a Pokemon to surf to Cinnabar with, but I might as well move this hunt forward while I wait for Safari Week. By fishing on Route 19 in FireRed, we can find Horsey and Seadra, and by fishing in Pallet Town in Leaf Green, we can find Staryu, Krabby and Kingler. Both games also have a 15% chance for a Gyarados, and an extremely rare 1% encounter slot for either Psyduck or Slowpoke, for a total of 8 different encounters across both games. Personally, I'm hoping for either a Staryu or a Horsey, but I think I'd be happy with any of these targets. In fact, the only thing that could really go wrong here is if I suddenly get replaced by a robot as soon as I find a shiny. Okay, so I'd like to formally apologise for that shiny encounter. I don't know what happened. My microphone was just awful for the entire thing. I sounded like a robot. Yeah, I'm not going to make you sit through that. You get the gist of it. I got a shiny Gyarados now. There was a bit of a scary point where it almost took itself out with confusion damage, but I was able to scrape by, and thankfully I still got it in a regular Pokeball, which was my that was my main goal, because it's such a good shiny match for it. But I was very close to chucking Ultra Balls instead, but turns out gambling paid off and it was able to stay in a Pokeball. So this is my Girona. I've had Deltarune on the brain for like the last week. I couldn't not do a name based on the last chapter somehow. I'll be honest, I had the names Starwalker and Crabwalker lined up if I found either a Staryu or a Krabby. But I think just something about like Geronados, it appeals to me. This is my Girona. It's a calm nature, which is kind of a funny parallel to the Lake of Rage Gyarados, which is normally where you'd expect to find a red Gyarados. Also, I didn't realise that Thrash is the only wild move they know. I might have been a bit more cautious about catching this if I'd known that it only had a single move with 20 PP. But it still worked out, so thankfully that wasn't an issue. But yeah, that's another shiny down, and it's still way too early for Safari Week, so I don't know what I'm going to do for the next 2 weeks. I still don't know what happened to my audio here. I think my recording setup might have melted due to the recent heatwave we've had in the UK. This hunt also ended up being very quick, and I still have 2 weeks left until Safari Week. So to make up for my horrendous audio problems and also give myself another shot at Staryu or Horsey, I decided to just keep fishing. Oh! That's another shiny Gyarados. Okay.
Glue.
I was kind of hoping for not another shiny Gyarados, to be totally honest. Also, wow, crazy that FireRed is still lagging behind. Okay. This is a 15% encounter, by the way, so I feel like I really should have found something else other than a Gyarados. But at least this one isn't going to have completely destroyed audio. I've made sure to check my mic every single time I started recording this time. I'm not letting that happen again. Ooh, okay, that's... I think I'm going to switch to Ultra Balls now. Please don't miss. Okay. Yeah, well, I got one in a regular Pokeball, so I'll just Ultra Ball this one. There we go. Okay, now is this one going to have a better attack stats? You are Naive Nature. That is speed up, special defense down. Okay. I'll have to calculate the IVs for that in a bit. I might end up using this one over the other one. Also, interestingly, you can see that in this generation they didn't have gender differences for Pokemon, so both of these Gyarados look identical. But if we move these up into Generation 4, then this one would have white whiskers instead of red. Also, yeah, it is crazy that I got 2 Gyarados, because that is a 15% encounter. I had, that's like 85% chance for anything else that was there. I honestly, I was really kind of getting my hopes up for a Krabby or a Horsey or a Staryu. But I guess this is the luck of the draw. Okay. It's also still just under 2 weeks until Safari Week, so I don't think... if I start another shiny hunt here, I'm worried that that one's going to go massively over odds and I'll have to abandon it for Safari Week. So I think for now I'm just going to have to ride it out until Safari Week. After catching my first Gyarados, I quickly realised that it suffers from the same issues as Gengar. Gyarados has a huge physical attack stat, but all water-type moves are special attacks, and the only physical moves it learns by levelling up are Thrash and Hyper Beam. But by making a quick stop in the Safari Zone, we can pick up a couple of HMs to add to its moveset. By collecting the gold teeth for the Warden, we can trade them in for the HM Strength, and while we're there, we can also pick up the HM for Surf in the Secret House, which will allow us to go to Cinnabar Island. But of course, we still need to beat Koga first before we can use it out of battle. On the plus side, at least Gyarados has a really good shiny in this game. Every other appearance made shiny Gyarados a much deeper red colour, but FireRed and Leaf Green is the closest match to the original colour from Generation 2, which leans more towards a reddish orange. I think this was chosen specifically in Generation 2 to account for the shiny Gyarados you find in the Lake of Rage. It's supposed to be a Magikarp that was forced to evolve due to Team Rocket's experiments, and I think the colour was meant to match that of a regular Magikarp to emphasise that. It's also fitting for both of these Gyarados, since they were caught below the normal level that Magikarp can evolve, and the level 15 one is actually the lowest level that Gyarados can be in this game. With Koga's SoulBadge, we can now surf outside of battle and finally reach Cinnabar Island, but I'm afraid that's all we have time for today. If you want to catch the final part of this quest, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it, and likes and comments are always appreciated to help the channel. But until next time, I'll see you all in the Safari Zone.
That was brilliant, Campbell, for me. Very much enjoyed